Hey, this is Hank here. I wanted to do a 5-minute rant of the Versus series. And by Versus series, well, literally self-explanatory. First, we'll go into the big old grandpa, which is X-Men versus Street Fighter. X-Men versus Street Fighter used the engine of, well, X-Men Children of the Atom, which was out for the Sega Saturn. So, in other words, it was pretty actually ahead of its time, if you can say that. The engine was pretty fresh. There wasn't any wall bouncing or anything like that, but the engine was fast. A lot faster than pretty much every other fighting game that was out before, and that's the thing that caught a lot of people. Next off, you have, of course, well, Marvel versus Capcom. Marvel versus Capcom. The only thing I can really say about that is, Strider, hear you. Strider, hear you. That was like his whole entry level into the game. Of course, you had the Hulk. Hulk was still Hulk. And then there's Mega Man. That was the best Mega Man. Yes, Mega Man was in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but the Mega Man that was in Marvel vs. Capcom 1 was just so godlike. I'm sorry. Then you got Captain Commando, and you have your whole run-of-the-mill list of characters, which actually held up quite well. It was 2v2, and then they had the assist system, which was random. You actually couldn't choose your assist. It was completely random. You pretty much pressed the button at the right time. Actually, it was a bit of an engine to it, depending on what two buttons or so forth you pressed would decide what character you get. A lot of people didn't know that, but research would do that to you. Anyway, it actually added more to the skill factor of it. Shit, there was a lot more skill needed to play Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Reason why is because you actually use the 3 punches and the 3 kicks. Moving on, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came about. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 actually shortened the button system down to 4 buttons, which was light punch, hard punch, light kick, hard kick, that whole kind of thing. Reason why it was on PS2 and it was on Dreamcast, and the shit was just simpler. Press 2 buttons, tag in character, press the other 2 buttons, blah 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 blah. Simple, yet the game still required so much more skill. Reason why is because you had to take in consideration of timing of your own attacks, your assists, and even frames of different characters and how their attacks affect other characters. Like some of your moves may affect Zangief better than it may affect Jin Satomi. You had to take all of that into consideration. It was just way more skill required for that game. But I digress. Next off, you actually had the Tatsunoko vs. Capcom series. Ironically enough, the game got so much hype import-wise that it was actually released here. It was the second model, which was Ultimate. Not Ultimate. I mean, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars. Yeah, funny thing is, we lost our cutscenes completely. Well, it wasn't ours to begin with, but the original version actually had genuine animated cutscenes. We got shit of that, but we have more balanced characters, like Not Bullshit Roll and technically Not Bullshit Ryu. I'm sorry, you could still bullshit so hard with Ryu, but the point is, the game was great. Simplified the system, and in actuality, it was a covert operation to test out what was planned to be the Marvel vs. Capcom system. Because at the time, Capcom promised that even Wii owners would get a chance to play Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They completely shitted on the Wii owners. Many were pissed. Then you have Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This is well gonna go over 5 minutes, so pull up a chair. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, when it first came out, hype as shit. Awesome because it had the Tatsunoko vs. Capcom system. Here's the problem. Game, I'm not gonna lie, lacked, especially when it came to stages. Yeah, oh, you don't care so much about having that many stages. Okay, that's understandable. Oh, there's not that many characters as there is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Get the fuck over it. Play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 if that's the case. And if you're so good at Marvel vs. Capcom 2, then you know that half of the damn list of characters off of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 isn't even fucking used. It majorly came down to a select few list of characters like Strider, fucking Doctor Doom, and other characters. But, I digress. Back to Marvel vs. Capcom 3. In a way, it kind of ended up going somewhat of the same route. It's just, it didn't have like over 27 different useless characters. It just had like 3 useless characters that no one really used because it was still a tier list. And then not only that, online was kind of shit in a way of, hey, we get to watch health bars hump each other while we're waiting for our turn to fight. I was actually playing a game while waiting for a game, which isn't that much of a good look considering the fact the Super Street Fighter at the time had to where you can watch the match. But now we have Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is the hilarious thing because they genuinely charged us for shit they should have gave us the first time, but we're actually paying for multiple characters because we actually considerably know that if Capcom released other characters in packs of 3 or just individual, that is going to end up like Jill and fucking Schumer Garoth, where people aren't really going to willingly want to spend fucking $5 for some of the characters because it's only some of the characters you genuinely care for, because let's face it, not that many people use Jill and Schumer Garoth. And then there's a couple of the new characters now that people kind of use because you have some people that do like Phoenix Wright, and then you got some people that find them kind of useless that wouldn't willingly spend $5 for them. So what they did is they mashed it all together and made us pay for it, and we still have to pay for Jill and Schumer Garoth, which that shit is going to stay empty. I refuse to spend fucking $60 for a game that I spent $60 on a couple of months ago. It should be $20. So that's the Versus series. Now for personal opinions. I think maybe they should release another Tatsunoko series. Why? Because of fucking Polymer, that's why.